Pauly P works here, and this is One Design, a show in which I usually talk about One Piece characters and their designs. However, this is a special episode in light of recent events. We're not going to talk about a One Piece character today. We're going to talk about a Dragon Ball character today, namely Majin Buu. Now, when I say that, I'm not talking about the various iterations of Super Buu, nor am I talking about Kid Buu. I'm talking about Fat Buu, Mr. Buu, the original Majin Buu. Well, I mean, the original is actually Kid Buu, but you get the point. So, the reason why I like Majin Buu the most is because he's so stupid looking. And I mean that as a point of endearment, because when you look at Dragon Ball villains, you have the sinister yet elegant Frieza. Then you have the almost a horror monster into fighting machine creature that is Cell, right? But Majin Buu starts off as this fat, dopey, Winnie the Pooh-like entity. And that sort of zaniness only increases as you go on in the Buu saga. And I like that. I like that even though he technically changes shape, and we technically change antagonists, which is another interesting thing about him. But even though he does have changes throughout the course of the saga, the energy mostly stays the same. Even after he gains all this intelligence from absorbing Gohan and Piccolo, he's still zany. He's still silly. And the reason why, too, I think he's such a genius design is because he brings Dragon Ball back to its roots in being kind of comedic as well as being a action show. Because when you look at Frieza and Cell, it was kind of serious 90% of the time. But with Buu brings a much needed palette of levity that the series had been missing for a long period of time. So, the turning point of what really got me to like Buu is that his appearance is goofy, it is dopey, and it is the final nail in a coffin to spite Vegeta. What do I mean by this? Throughout Vegeta's life, as he settled into being a citizen of planet Earth, all the things that have defined him as a person, and we talk about this on the Roll Skull podcast, and Zach brought this point to my attention, and it's very interesting, but everything that has defined him as a person, him as a character, him as a warrior, has been the point of parody in his time on Earth. The legend of the Super Saiyan has been brought to its peak by a child named Gohan. Said child then gives all of that up, despite Vegeta himself working so hard to accomplish the same feat. No, Gohan redefines what Super Saiyan means by becoming a Super Saiyan 2, and then throws that all away to be a scholar, and then to be a parody of the Ginyu Force in being the Great Saiyaman. Vegeta frowns upon this. His own son and Goku's offspring become Super Saiyans. And he remarks that the legendary transformation is now the plaything of a child. Right? Later on in the Buu saga, as Gohan is down and Goku and Vegeta are fighting after he falls to the power of Babidi in order to get some of that hatred back, to sort of reclaim some of his lost pride, Goku just gives him the dub. So even though he thought he won, he didn't win. And then to top it all off, he unleashes the monster that's going to cause more harm than good. And this legendary monster that everyone has been so fearful of, it's nothing like Frieza. It's nothing like Cell. It is a parody of these things. It's this fat, dopey, pink entity that has the mentality of a child. And not only that, and this is like out of the series, this is a meta thing, but the fact that he looks like a superhero with the whole cape, glove, and boot setup is peak comedy to me, because it's sort of parodying Vegeta's last stand, as to say, oh, you're trying to be the hero now after you were the bad boy in murdering all those civilians. Oh, look at you. I am the antithesis of everything that you have ever fought for. I mock you, Prince of All Saiyans, because I'm Boo. And what makes it worse is that even though Vegeta sacrifices himself into giving up his life in order to destroy this thing, the thing that he wants so badly to destroy as his last good deed on planet Earth, to save all the things that he holds dear, actually, the thing just comes back in the most cartoon-like, nightmarish fashion that you can possibly imagine, which is more extreme than anything we have ever seen in Dragon Ball thus far. That's why I like Majin Buu, because it's the silliness made horrifying. It's all of the gags that Toriyama has been known for in the past, culminated into an unstoppable force that the other theme of Dragon Ball, which is the action, is trying so desperately to defeat. This the embodiment of comedy that is now fighting against the action, because also in this arc, Goku obtains the highest point of Super Saiyan yet in the series. And not even that is actually enough to ever put any version of Boo down permanently, which in itself speaks volumes of Boo's importance. It's simply immaculate when you really start to think about it. The fact that his signature technique is not even something that's planet destroying or something meant to pierce through the heart of his opponent, nor is it a pure reflection of all the martial arts that the Z fighters have culminated over the years of training. No, his special technique is nothing like that. It's to turn things into candy. It's to turn his opposition into food, which again is a gag that has been present throughout the entirety of the story, which is very unique for Boo, because no villain in Dragon Ball eats or has any association with food, despite some of them being part Saiyan, and I'm talking about Cell. No one actually eats in the way that Boo does. The only thing I can even think that's equivalent is Cell's drinking people, which is a horror aspect that we'll have to talk about someday. But the fact that Boo is a weird reflection, or I guess a manifestation of all the gags in Dragon Ball, even the poop gags, because when they go inside of a Boo's stomach at some point, it's just, it's so fascinating that the other part of the series, the action, has to now fight with itself, with Boo being the embodiment of all the comedy that's ever been present in the series. And this was less coherent than I would have liked, but I do hope you enjoy, and I hope I got some sort of point across here. But give me your thoughts.